Shalom and good day, all. This is the Healing29 back again for another anime review, and in this anime review I'll be covering that of Blue Eye Samurai, which is done by Amber Noizumi and Michael Green. So I'll get started into moving into talking about the episodes and also talking about the characters in the episodes. And I'll, of course, cover the good points and the bad points as I'm starting to move towards the end, and also the afterthoughts. So, moving into episode 1, it's called Hammer Scale, to which the synopsis gives us the lone wolf warrior Mizu gets stuck in with an unexpected travel companion, while Princess Akemi grasps for a way to control her future. Now, in this particular episode, we of course meet the character known as Mizu, who is a female, and nothing against the character being female, but I think one thing that they could have done a little bit more better in this story was give a better origin emphasis in relation to the character of Mizu herself. And of course we only saw little bits, but we never actually saw who was actually who. But we do learn later on in the series that in relation to a particular person who was looking after her, wasn't exactly who we think we are, or who we think they are. So in the process, we also learn of her having a bit of a bully known as Taigen, to which I actually quite like the character of Taigen. And we also meet the Princess Akemi, who does in fact want to at first marry Taigen, until things start to change, and she also does play a part in sort of like helping Taigen to regain his honor. But we do see her character change throughout the series. Now, jumping into episode 2, An Unexpected Element, with the squad of deadly assassins on her trail, Mizu forges ahead, but hits a hiccup when she and Ringo. Now, Ringo basically becomes sort of like a new accomplice of sorts, or basically her subordinate or servant of sorts, and sort of like wants to be taught under him. They arrive in town on a festival day, to which not long after that, they are chased by assassins, and we do learn that one of these assassins is also connected to Mizu's past, especially in relation to her mentor, who taught her how to make swords. Another thing too I must bring up about sort of like the first episode, we learned that a meteorite hits the earth, and for some estranged reason, Mizu has magical powers to turn this meteor into a sword. And one of the reasons to sort of like, I don't like this character that much, and it just doesn't really work. The character comes off more like a villain than an actual hero. So, jumping into episode 3, A Fixed Number of Paths. Now, in this one, we have Taigen. Taigen proposes a deal, and Mizu receives an invitation to tea. Life on the road turns out to be more challenging to Akemi than imagined. So in this particular episode, we have the character of Akemi, who was originally planned to marry Taigen. She's now going out on her own with her own servant of sorts by the name of Seki. An absolutely great character, and I enjoy his conversations with her. And you can definitely see that he has also played a part in influencing her in the way that she has grown up more than her own father. In this, we see Taigen basically tracking down, and we do see a little bit more of Taigen tracking down where Mizu is in the story in episode 2, and it definitely shows you some of the skills that he has gained in his life. Jumping into episode 4, it's called Peculiarities. Akemi embarks on a new career and Mizu searches for a way to reach Fowler. Now, Fowler is one of the Europeans who has landed in Japan many, many years ago, and she wants to get her revenge against Fowler. And with this, she wants to try to get as much information as possible, and for that, also bringing Madame Kaji's rather unusual we encounter Madame Kaji's rather unusual establishment, which is sort of like a whorehouse of sorts, or a brothel, but it treats many different people for many different needs. And with that, that's where Akemi chooses to go. Moving into episode 5. Now, I thought episode 5 was going to probably be the episode that I was going to enjoy the most, but I'll get to that as soon as I sort of like finish things off towards the end. Now, in this, we hear episode 5, which is called The Tale of the Ronin and the Bride, during a desperate battle. So this is actually a interesting battle to which Mizu is sort of like knocked out of sorts, but we also do see some injuries, but I'm going to talk about those injuries after I move into the area of the afterthoughts, because I dislike the way that they've sort of done things with the injuries with this story. And that's the only turn down that I've really got, or one of the big turn downs. Mizu remembers another life, to which we learn in one of the things in relation to her life, the person that she believes to be her mother basically had a hookup with someone who was treated as an outcast under the shogun. She ends up marrying him, enjoying life with him and all that. But there are also some scenes to which, almost had an opportunity to show that this character had gained some progress in their journey, and also maybe gain some progress in like learning new things. But of course, it was once again short-lived in regards to the experience of the character. Jumping into episode 6, after giving episode 5 a go, I thought maybe episode 6 would probably be the way forward to maybe actually pushing to being one of the better episodes that I would come to enjoy. Not quite happening, but let's move to its title, which is called All Evil Dreams and Angry Words. Determined to see Fowler dead, Mizu scrapes up all the wits and grit and strength as she has left to make her way through the castle's defenses. So in this, she ends up finding a way to the castle to which Fowler is at. Through that, she has to basically battle through some very interesting, defenses of sorts. One of them actually involving a monkey breathing opium in her face. And that I actually quite liked, because with that, we saw the character sort of like having to try to find and redefine what reality is. So it was really close to what I was starting to enjoy in the story, because there are very few things that actually felt like that they had consequences with the character of Mizu. Taking account, we also got a bit of a reunion with Taigen in the episode. We also saw Ringo of sorts leave her, which was quite interesting. So jumping into episode 7, to which we have Fowler bound for Edo. reveals the terrifying scope of his plans. Akemi braces herself for an upcoming wedding. So in this case, her wedding is with the Shogun's son, no longer under Taigen. So her place and position has been changed. Care of her father and her father's position. With this, we have Mizu and Taigen. They return home. So, in other words, we have Mizu actually return to the place to which she actually got a lot of mentorship in. And if it's one thing that I really like about this episode, I enjoyed this. Did actually feel like the episode to which she did actually take a look at the consequences of her own actions. And in the process, restore back her sword back to basically, I guess, the steel rock that it once was, or the meteorite rock that it once was. Of course, a little bit stretching the fabric of the reality of the story there. So it sort of feels like it's got a little bit of fantasy side of it, even though it's sort of like meant to be set like a timepiece. And last but not least, episode 8, which is called The Great Fire of 1657, to which as an army approaches, Akemi must choose her path. While Taigen risks his life for the royal family, Mizu remains hell-bent on her mission, to which, in this particular case, I was prepared to see Mizu actually kill the character, because of how well the character has sort of like been pulling off these well-executed attacks, at almost breakneck speed, and it just really loses a lot of reality check in the story. So I might as well move directly into the afterthoughts. And the first thing I really want to bring up is that this series, when it comes to injuries, dismemberment, if it's any injury that comes to Mizu, it's treated like a joke in the story. I mean, it is absolutely treated like a joke. And I'm sorry, but that turns me off from liking the character. Like, there was something that happened in episode 6. Like, I liked the idea of the labyrinth of sorts in episode 6 throughout the castle. And there was an incident where Mizu was actually struck in the ankle. Now, not long after being struck in the ankle, she's bloody walking on that thing as normal as possible. You know, like nothing's wrong at all. Okay. Talk about Mary Sue. That is absolutely Mary Sue there. And it just took way too long for me to begin to like this character. I was in conversation with someone else on talking about Blue Eye Samurai on someone's live stream, and one of the points that they brought up, and I think that the point is actually quite a very fair point, is that I think this series could have done a little bit better and allowed a little bit more breathing space, and sort of like shown a little bit more in relation to consequences of the main character's actions if they had, say, 12 to 13 episodes. And I'd be willing to agree with that. I think it did actually need more episodes. It did need to show more consequences to Mizu's actions. Of course, everyone around her is getting injuries to dismemberments and whatever the hell else, and she's just getting away with freaking scratches. I'm sorry, if you're injured in a fight, even in a freaking a piece of metal going through your bloody ankle, you should be limping, right? You should be limping. You should not be bloody walking normally. I'm sorry. That crap ain't on. Right? And that's one of my biggest things about this particular story. Now, when it starts to move on to episode 7 and 8, 7 would have to be my favorite episode. Not 5, not 6, but 7. 7 is the time where it actually gives this character time to breathe, reflect on her actions, though it's way too late in the story for me to begin to like this character. Like, this stuff should have been brought in earlier to see the character take the time to reflect, even on their own injuries. Yes, there was some injuries, I guess, attended to, but once again, the injuries were basically treated like a joke, and that's the only thing. And in that, she might as well just be Rey Skywalker 6.0. And then we move into episode 8. Now, I was really waiting to see if she was going to kill the character of Fowler, but sure enough, she actually keeps the character alive so she can begin to move into what would lead us into the next season, for season 2 of Blue Eye Samurai, to which she'll be heading heading to London. So, jumping to the next thing, and that is the area of the ratings. For the ratings of the main characters, if I were to pick out the main character in this, it would have to be Mizu. So, what would my rating for her be overall? I'm afraid to say it's a 6.5 out of 10. I mean it. It took me so long to begin to like this character, and I'm not impressed at all. I'd have to say the supporting characters are way more exciting, are way more interesting than the main character. And that even includes the villain Fowler. Alright, next is the rating for the supporting characters, to which I would give an 8.5 out of 10. They were that interesting. Including Ringo. Yes, we do see that this character is a bit of an invalid of sorts, to which he does his best even with his disability. Yes, we also end up meeting other characters with like other different types of disabilities, but even their performances are quite great in the story too, whether their injuries are from battle or from something else, or like something from birth. Very well done, very well executed. Even Akemi was interesting. I enjoyed her. Even her father was interesting. Even Seki and the mentor of Mizu was fantastic. I enjoyed those characters, and that's why they get an 8.5 out of 10 from me. Next is the soundtrack. I am willing to give an 8 out of 10. The next is the animation, to which I didn't... Actually, there were quite a number of things in the animation that were really quite good. Even when it comes to episode 5, I actually liked the way how that was executed in that story fashion, like the story within a story within a story. And also seeing where it took place. That was fantastic. 8.5, 8.5 out of 10. But it could have actually fixed things up, especially in relation to Mizu's injuries. Like, there are times when Mizu should have taken more of a serious injury and given her, well, more time to recover, if not more than a few days to recover, to put it blunt. Like, this story almost felt like it was trying to be too many things at once. I've heard some people say, oh, no, this this is almost like Kill Bill or Lady Snowflake or something like that. Oh, Lady Snowblood. No, I don't even say Lady Snowblood is better than this. There were some things that sort of felt like it was trying to take off some of the idea from Ninja Scroll, for example, that I sort of felt was in the story. Hey, I got no problem with like a character of biracial heritage. It's just I feel that they treated this character like a bit of a joke. And that's the thing. Maybe I might enjoy the actual graphic novel where it comes from more than this. Moving into the next thing, the story. Now this is going to be the hard thing, especially in rating the story. Do I give the story a high rating because of its animation and supporting characters? In some essence, it would be a little bit unfair. Or do I give it a lower rating on regards to the performance of the main character? And I think for this, I'm going to have to give this season, this particular series, a 7 out of 10. That's right, a 7 out of 10. Well, until then, actually, before I do finish off, what was one of your favorite episodes? Who was one of your favorite characters that you enjoyed in the story? And until then, let's keep it colorful and have yourself an awesome day.